let's talk about 5 of my favorite storylines from Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian was a series that was written in pulp magazines in the 1920s and 1930s. Now, a lot of people know Conan the Barbarian in the movies and they know him in the comic books, but he was a fictional character long before he was in comic books. His first comic book was 1970 with Conan the Barbarian #1, which was written by Roy Thomas. Those are adaptations from the original Robert E. Howard stories. Now, Robert E. Howard was a struggling writer in the 1920s and the 1930s. He would submit his stories to Weird Tales magazine, which again was a pulp magazine from the 1920s and 30s. And there was a lot of major pulp characters that came out of these, or fictional characters that came out of these pulp magazines. Flash Gordon was one, Buck Rogers was another, Tarzan, and many, many more. In fact, it was a fabulous line of different characters that came out in these magazines. Robert E. Howard wrote stories for this character, King Cole. Now, what had happened was he had a storyline that was rejected as a King Cole story. Howard took the story and he rewrote it and he put in this new character. This new character was Conan. It was basically the same story. It was Phoenix on the Sword was this name of the story. Now, for this video, we are going to be talking about 5 of my favorite Conan stories from the original Robert E. Howard. Now, the first one is going to be Tower of the Elephant. The second story is going to be Queen of the Black Coast. Another one of my favorite ones is People of the Black Circle. That's a really good story. And The God in the Bull will be the 4th story we talk about. And then we will finish up with one of my absolute favorite stories, number 5, Red Nails. Now the first story is going to be The Tower of the Elephant. This is a story that takes place early in Conan's life, if you will. And he had just left the hills of Samaria and he comes into civilized lands. Now, he ends up talking to some people in a bar and he gets into a bar fight, which is so cliche for Conan, but you know what? It's part of the fun and there are always these great fights. But he had learned a secret about a gem that is inside this tower. And so after the bar fight, he goes to steal this gem. Now, Conan's an interesting character, and if you read Conan, he will kill people that get in his way, he will steal people, he will do a lot of things that are questionable morally, but guys, it does not take you long before you realize Conan has a very high standard of morals, and he always ends up kind of doing the right thing, even though he isn't your typical goody good two shoes hero. So, anyhow, he's going to go get this gem, and he has to climb this tower. Now, he ends up meeting another thief who had the exact same idea as Conan did and was going after this gemstone. I don't want to tell the whole story. They end up working together, and then whenever they meet the guardian of the gemstone, it becomes a very sympathetic character that you feel sorry for. But if you want to read a great Conan story, this one's a good, quick read. It catches you and it keeps your excitement the whole way through it. So, if you are just starting to read Conan and the original tales, hit Tower of the Elephant. Part 2. The stories that I think people should read of Conan is Queen of the Black Coast. Now, this is a high tales adventure out on the seas, which a lot of people don't realize. Conan was a pirate for a large part of the storylines written by Howard. Most people don't know this because Arnold Schwarzenegger was never a pirate in the movies. So, Conan is on the run, literally on horseback, trying to get through town because he is wanted for murder for killing the magistrate for a trial that Conan was on. Great storyline. So he gets on this ship literally as it is pulling away from the harbor, and he ends up befriending the captain of the ship and becomes a helper on the ship, and he learns all about sailing until they end up meeting a group of pirates out on the high seas. Now, these pirates end up storming the ship and they slaughter everybody on it. Conan fights, killing a large amount of the crew members of the pirate ship. He easily would have been killed, but the captain of the ship was a pirate named Belit. Now, without a doubt, Belit is the strongest female character in the Conan series. There's only one other option that could be, but this was probably Conan's biggest love interest in all of the stories. And the stories of the Queen of the Black Coast, they are quite epic, and a lot of tales out on the seas being pirates. And eventually it comes down to a demise of the crew. Conan does survive this story, but it is a great riveting tale. And again, the name of this is Queen of the Black Coast. The third story we're going to talk about is People of the Black Circle. Now, one of the things that makes Robert E. Howard's Land of Hibernia, which is the fictional land in the Conan series, what makes it epic is that it is based upon real-world ancient civilizations. And in this one, we talk about ancient India, although it is not called India in the tales, but there is a Queen Yasmina in it, and she has her handmaidens, and there's lovers and intrigue, and there's all types of double crossing with sorcery and monsters in this tale. This is another absolutely fabulous tale. And again, number 3 on this list is People of the Black Circle. Number 4 on our list is The God and the Bull. Now, most of Conan's stories they follow a pattern, okay? Conan, he has a sword, he fights lots of people, large numbers, he fights sorcerers, he fights monsters, he saves the maiden, the end, okay? That's the Conan standard tale, if you will, and there's all intrigue and different aspects to it that keep it interesting, but this one is a little bit different, and whenever I was reading this, I was blown away because of its uniqueness. Now, this basically comes down to Conan is a thief, and again, he's going after stuff. He breaks into this temple. This temple has all kinds of relics. It's almost a museum, if you will. Well, he ends up getting found out by the guards, and the museum, or the temple, one of the higher-ups in the temple, is found dead. Now, the magistrate is called, and from this point on, it fails to be the typical Conan story where it's, a hack and slash type of a story, to it's a true whodunit. It's a complete mystery. And guys, I have done murder mystery dinners before, and they're fun, they're all types of intrigue, and who did it, and it was Professor Plum in the lavatory, hopefully not in the lavatory, with the pipe, okay? Guys, if you ever played Clue and you said a murder came from the lavatory, I'm a little bit worried about you, but that's alright, you get my point. We'll say kitchen. Anyhow, from this point on in this story, it is a true whodunit, and guys, I like it a lot better than some of the Sherlock Holmes stories that I have written. This one would have been good enough for Murder, She Wrote. Number 5, and the last story on this list of the top 5 Conan stories written by Robert E. Howard is Red Nails. Now, we talked about Belit, and honestly, Belit might have been the strongest female character, but that's debatable because in this one you have Valeria. Now, the Valeria in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Conan the Barbarian, is nothing like the Valeria in the actual stories. This Valeria is a strong-willed, strong fighter, a pirate, a mercenary. She is a murderer. She is a murderer for hire, if you will. Now, this is set in an Emerald Dome city, and it starts off with an actual fight. Well, the starting of it is outside the city. Conan is fighting a dragon. Now, you can tell by the writing in this, the dragon was meant to be a dinosaur. He was fighting some big dinosaur, but they called it a dragon. And he ends up, befriending Valeria. and the exploits are just fast-paced, wonderful. This is a great story. I do not want to give away this story. I do say there are so many of these great stories, and I don't know which one is my favorite. I love Queen of the Black Coast. I love Tower of the Elephant, God in the Bowl. I love People of the Black Circle, but this one is one of the ones that absolutely captivate me. Red Nails is a story, and it has been done in comic books many, many times. There was supposed to be an animated movie being done with this one, but it didn't ever actually get made. So here's my suggestion. If you are looking for a Conan story, if you've never read the character, read Tower and the Elephant. It's not the best story in my opinion, but because of the fast-pacedness, because it's the length of the story is not too long, it will captivate you. It is just a great story. Queen of the Black Coast is such a fun story, and Red Nails is an absolute must-read, if you will, and then you'll get to know a little bit about the character Conan the Barbarian. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on the top 5, well, Matt Woods' top 5 Conan stories. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and put the comments down below. Now, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and everybody, have a great day.